Here we are on a great Sunday evening. Boy, I enjoyed those songs, clips. Isn't it a pleasure to sing praises to God? I was thinking about that last song we sang. This is my story, this is my song. Praising my Savior all the day long. What a great concept and idea. And of course this dovetails right into our lesson tonight about problems. And I don't know anybody who doesn't have problems. So if you were thinking, what a strange subject, it isn't so strange because everybody has them. And so let's take a look. Let's turn over to 1 Corinthians 10 and verse 15 and look at what he says there to us about problems. Chapter 10 and verse 15. Which is not correct, is it? I do that sometimes. How about 12? Well.
Maybe 13? Maybe 13.
13 what?
Verse.
Chapter 13?
No, 10, 13.
Okay, yeah. Let's take a look at 13. Sorry. Like I said, I do that sometimes. I guess that 5 looks like 3 looks like a 5, which doesn't make any sense. But no temptation has seized you except what is common to man. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can stand up under it. You notice he didn't say he'll take it away from you. He said he'll provide a way out. So let's take a look at this. What happens to you happens to others. Always has, always will. Everybody has problems. And you say, why me? Why did this have to happen to me? Let me tell you something. Why not you? You're a child of God. You're the kind of person that he could put out there with a problem, and you can go through this problem and not have an issue with it and be able to teach others how to deal with it. We've all had flats. We've all lost loved ones. We've all had problems out there. And we know of others who have had. And it doesn't matter who's responsible or not, the problems are there that we have to deal with. And so we have to say, well, what's going on here? Well, here's the problem. One never knows why you're having the problem. We just can't know. We have no idea. In fact, the book of Job is there for us specifically to be able to see that Job had no idea why he was going through the problems he was going through. Was he having problems? Oh, yes. But he had no idea that Satan had slandered Job, and God gives Job the opportunity to prove Satan wrong. You can't go through this flat tire. You can't go through the loss of a loved one that you needed desperately. You can't go through the fact that your house is gone, you've got nothing left, and insurance isn't even going to pay. Or that you lost your job or your money ran out and you've done everything you could to get as much as you could, and you still owe, and you still owe, and you still owe. And that's just simple problems. And you have no idea the test that is going on. What we do know is that when people ask, why is God doing this to me? They might be right. And what reason why God does it to you is because he wants you to go through it. It may be that you need to expand your horizons You may need to go through something to be able to get to the other side and to become a stronger, braver, more capable Christian. Maybe you've lost a job. Maybe you've used all your savings. But God is there and He provides. So what we do is we wait and we see. It doesn't mean you don't have a responsibility. You may have a flat tire and you didn't do it. Somebody else threw nails out there that you drove over, but you still have to change the tire. You still have to do the work that is here on earth today. And it could be also that it comes from Satan. Why does Satan want to see God's people fail? Because that's who he is. He's the guy who brings pain, suffering, disease, destruction, and death to us. That's who he is. It's what he does. And God sometimes brings things to put in your path so that you become stronger. But no matter what it is, you can't know who has sent you the problem. All you know is you have to go through it. It could have even been done as something that you did yourself and you didn't realize you had done it. And you're going through this problem. Here's the question: how do you go through it? Problems happen to everybody. And the world needs to be able to see a Christian who can take on a problem and remain a Christian. Not blaming God, not blaming others. You can blame Satan, that's fine with me. And more than likely it is from Satan. You know, people say, well, what about these acts of God? Well, what makes you think they're acts of God? God had to change the world around so that people couldn't live to be older than 100 years, so they wouldn't live to have so many evil children and raise a whole clan of evil people. He changed it from being close to 1,000 years old to now close to 100 years old. And the problem with it is, things come. What comes? Tornadoes, hurricanes, all kinds of problems. I was watching something in the news, and I'm not sure exactly what state it was, but the fire had been grabbed by the wind and had made a fire tornado. It was just boiling like this straight up into the air. And you think, oh my goodness, how can we handle this? You can go through more than you can imagine. You could even be disfigured. You can lose limbs. You can lose loved ones. And yet you go through this and you praise God in the process. Hard for us to do at times, especially when we're going through it. Thank you, God, for this flat tire. I don't have a spare, but thanks a lot. You remember that movie, Shenandoah Valley, I think it was, or something like that anyway. And Jimmy Stewart was in there, and they go to sit down to eat. Family's all laid out there, man, big feast in front of me. He says, I told your mother I would pray, I'll always pray a Thanksgiving prayer. And so he said, so, dear God, I thank you for this food that we have been blessed with, even though we had to till the soil, and we had to plant the seeds, and we had to water, and we had to harvest it. But thank you anyway, God. Well, we can't think that way. We can't be that way, because these problems that come to us are for our benefit. And even though you may not be able to see it, they are for the benefit of God. So don't succumb to these. Don't fall into despair over what happens, but rather turn around. He said he'll find a way. Turn around and look for opportunities out of this situation. I saw a picture the other day with a man who had a tractor, and the front tire was gone off the tractor, one of them. That meant he had 3 tires. But he had a large wife, and he had her sit over here on the fender, and it picked up that front side over there, and he was able to drive home. Look for opportunities. Don't look at the problems and say, oh my, I've got a problem, what will I do? Don't fall into despair where everything's against you, where everything's bad, because it's hard to get out of despair. You have to climb out of despair. You slide into it, but you have to climb out. It's hard work to get out of evil into good thinking possibilities. So look for the opportunities. Always be looking for new opportunities. Man, I'm having a lot of trouble with this job. It seems like I'm going to get fired. I remember one time I was sitting there, and the people on the upholstery shop, their little girl came up to me, and she was sitting there kind of swinging her hands around there, and she looked up at me and she said, they're going to fire you. And I said to myself, you know what, I better look for a job. I could take that and be all upset about it and everything, but if I have another job, I'm not so upset, am I? And I don't know why, but it's always easier to find a job when you have a job than it is to find a job when you don't have a job. Seems like there's always opportunities when you're busy working. So look for these new opportunities. Examine every single problem as with an opportunity. God is going to provide for you because you are His children. It may take time. It may take a lot of time, because you remember Job did not go through his problem and then just come out of it immediately. It took 30-something chapters, mostly with him griping at God. And God doesn't care if you gripe at Him, but don't blame Him. Don't say everything's His fault and I don't care about Him. You've got to make sure that you are for God all the time. So this is something we have to work on constantly. Opportunities. Look for what's in front of you. Consider something happening. People are upset. They can't do the work they did before. They turn around, they find something they can do in their garage, and they build an empire from the garage. And it's happened more than once. So the opportunities are there. In fact, the potential is there. God has built you with potential. He has given you the ability to see beyond what is here. And He says He'll make your way straight. He'll open the doors for you. He'll make those opportunities come available. So, okay, we got problems. Okay, they're common. But you know what? We're going to consider those problems. And what are we going to do? We're going to consider it pure joy. In fact, over in James, he tells us how to think properly. Remember, God is teaching you how to think, how to feel. Look what he says here in James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4, if that is the right verse. Here we go. If any of you, 2, consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that He is testing your faith. Develop perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work so that you may be mature and complete and not lacking anything. You wonder why you're having to do this? Consider joy. Why do you consider joy? You consider joy because you're worthy of going through this. He knows your mettle. He knows what you're made out of. He knew Job could overcome this. And let me tell you something. You can too. You're a child of God. You are wonderfully made, dearly loved, and precious in His sight. You are worthy of the problems that Satan can throw at you. Remember what He told Paul? God did. Your grace is sufficient. I know you got problems. I've heard you've already complained about it several times. You've already asked me to take it away. I'm telling you, what you already have is enough. So in other words, don't worry about your physical problems, but rather take care of what you do. I have a friend of mine, I've told you about him before, his name is J.R. I love the guy. He's hard of hearing because he was in the service and did things with loud guns. And he has one eye gone, and he has no feet because they were burned off when he was holding a rope and the sign got in the electric. And he laid there in the hospital for 3 months in a coma, and when he woke up they said, oh, I guess we better work on this guy and get him back. Well, now he's going to feel everything. So they did, they worked on him, and then they were able to give him prosthesis. So he called me up about a year or so ago, and he said, oh, how's it going, GW? I said, fine. What about you, JR? We're just exchanging initials. You know? That's Texas for you. And he said, well, I was up on the roof fixing the house. The roof. He's got prosthesis on. And he said it was real sweaty. Started coming down the ladder. When I went to take my next step, I was all sweaty and one of my prostheses came off. And I fell. But I'm fine. No problem. And he said, I just met with my leg a lot faster than I thought it would. Let me tell you, you've got to be able to joke about these things. You've got to be able to see the positive end of it. You've got to see it because you are precious in His sight. He does not want someone who just sits around and complains. He wants someone who is looking for the silver lining on the clouds after the storm. Remember that song? When you walk through a storm. Remember that song? And at the end it says there's a silver lining and everything will be great, the sky will be beautiful and awesome stuff. And all the place will look so nice because it's been washed. In Texas, they got dirt roads, and so we go down the dirt roads. All that dirt covers all the trees and the plants and the weeds and everything on the side of the road. And then along comes rain and washes it so clean. It's all beautiful instead of being tan colored. It's just amazingly different. We have to have that perspective. We're going through this. We're not stuck in this. And you say, yeah, well, didn't you say JR lost his feet? Yes, but he didn't lose himself. A person could lose a lot, but he doesn't have to lose himself. So we look at this and we know. Righteous men suffer. Job suffered. Don't fool yourself. You're going to suffer. But suffer with pride in God. That you are God's people. There's old Job right there. He's sitting there. You know what he's doing? He's got these friends that came over to tell him how bad of a guy he was, and he must have sinned before God. And he told them, I didn't. I don't remember how many pages he told them that. He even cursed the day he was born. But you know what he's doing right there? He's praying for those poor friends that did not have the insight he had. He's praying for them. He's the one in need. He's praying for them. You see the outlook you have to have? Consider it joy because you are worthy. You going through pain? Yeah. You going through problems? Yeah. You going through issues? Yeah. But you're worthy of going through it and praising God because of it. Make sure that's what you did. It is your perspective that always makes a difference. You don't look at the thing and say, oh man, I'm stuck here. I'm having a tough time. You remember when you get sick? And my mother and father used to bring me what we called snotty eggs. And 7 of them. And that was supposed to cure us. I think because I hated it, I got over whatever it was. But the time that you're laying there sick, it's horrible. When you're in pain, nights are horrible. Nights are the worst time. Why? Because you're all alone, it seems like. But we're not alone. God's there. He hears you. He sees you. He knows what you're going through. And so it's perspective that makes a difference. It's how we look at things. Life is full of challenges, but your perspective makes all the difference. Now, here's a couple of pictures to help you understand that. Because the perspective makes the difference. Look at this. Looks like something's wrong with that. It says your perspective makes all the difference. Once you understand it's backwards, you can figure it out. In reality, if you want to, you can use a mirror and you can read it very correctly on the mirror. Here's another one. Look at the first guy. A boat. The second guy. Land. Perspective. Perspective. It's going to help you know yourself better and to be able to get through whatever problems you're in. It will not take away your problem, but it'll take away your fear of them and you'll enjoy it. So don't you like that cartoon? Isn't that cute? I feel sorry for both of those guys. But, you know, they can stand there and land for a while, get back in the boat and go. I mean, really, this is great. Of course, he's eating all the coconuts. But the last part here is work hard. Work hard to finish this life. Don't go through this life thinking, oh, it's so bad, I've got to get out of it. You're never going to get out of having to work hard for God. That is your job. You know what he said he made you? He made you workers. Workers for the kingdom. We got songs about that. He also made you listen, warriors. You know what that means? There's going to be some real problems. You're going to be in battle. You're going to be in battle because your mind is the battleground. So be a warrior for God. It's a song, stand up for Jesus. You know, well, get up, do what you're supposed to do, be faithful to Him. You can't hardly find a picture where you're supposed to be faithful to God. You know what you find? Pictures where God's faithful to you. But we're commanded to be faithful to Him unto death. So we have to make sure. It's easy to be faithful to God in good times. It is hard to be faithful to God in hard times, but it's not impossible to be faithful to God. All you have to do is work hard at it. You may have to work a little harder than you did when everything was going along smooth. You know, your bank account had some money in it. Your car was working great. Now, I used to have a Ford van. It wasn't because it was a Ford, but there was something wrong with the wiring to the starter. And the starter would short out within a month or so. And I always kept a new starter behind my chair. And so when I could carry anything and change that starter out in a minute, New York minute. Didn't even have to jack the car up because it was a van. I could just slide underneath it. Change it out. I knew exactly what to do. I didn't even take the electric off. And then I'd take that starter back and say, hey, give me another one. This one don't work. And they'd give me another one. I'd stick it behind and see. Because guess what's coming? Problems are coming. Sometimes it was raining and I got soaked. Sometimes it was nighttime. One time I got up because my car wasn't working. And I opened the hood and I was working on it. And I kept hearing things walking. I thought, what's here? Something's here, but I can't see it. So I went back to the glove compartment, got a flashlight, turned the flashlight on, turned it around, and there was a whole bunch of black cows sitting there watching on the other side of the fence. That wasn't scary until once I saw the cows. However, one time my car didn't work, and I was inside of one of those drive-through safari things. And they said, do not get out of your car. And I got to get out of my car. The thing didn't work, and I knew exactly what was wrong with it, but boy, I'm looking around the whole time. Sure, you go through hard times, but you've got to be faithful to God because of who you are. Glorify God in your everyday lives. Every single thing you do is going to glorify God. If you're not glorifying God, then you're glorifying Satan. If you're in despair, if you're in doubt, if you're in distress, those are from Satan, not from God. God brings you hope. God brings you peace. God brings you joy. So consider joy when you're going through problems. And next, let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. Every single thing you do should glorify Him. Well, you take a guy. You say, wow, look, here's a young guy. He's good looking. He's handsome. He's great. He's young. Well, he can glorify God, can he? Oh, wait a minute. What about when you get old? Your age means nothing to God. You still glorify God today, no matter how old you are or how young you are, because you are God's people. You're the ones that He has asked to be with Him, and you have heard His call, and you have answered it. Stay with Him. Stay faithful. Aren't they happy looking together, those two ladies? Look what it says. Glorify your Father who is in heaven. Make sure everything you do glorifies Him. Now we go to another part where He says in Matthew 7 verses 7 through 12. What is it? Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. For everyone who receives, he who seeks finds. He who knocks, the door will be open. Which of you, if his son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for fish, will give him a snake? If you then, though you're evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask Him? So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. For this is the sum of the law of the prophets. So look what He's saying here. How you think, how you act, how you think comes out in how you act. So ask God for solutions when you have problems. When you've got problems, why should you ask God for what you need? Because He wants to answer your prayers. Isn't that silly? Why do you bother your father when you're a little kid for something? Because you know your father or your mother wants to fulfill your wishes. It's so simple. He said, you understand this just with your own life. You know how it is. And you know good and well that God wants to please you in every way He can. He's not going to take away problems, especially if they've been brought to you by Satan or some of Satan's followers. But He will make it where He'll answer your prayers. So ask Him. Ask, seek, knock, A-S-K. Ask Him. And He tells us, always, let me give to you. That's His providence. Do you see the word provide in the word providence? He is not giving you a miracle. He is providing. Miracles were to show the person was from God and that they had special supernatural abilities from God. So, don't consider yourself that way, but consider yourself God's child and let Him provide for you. If you have to do the work, do it well. Do it with all your heart. All of a sudden you're out of a job, what do? You go looking for another job. If it means you have to go knock on doors of businesses you're nervous about going into, don't worry about it. Next one won't be as hard. And if they turn you down, the next one they turn you down, it won't be as hard. You'll get through it, and you may actually find the right person. And we'll find the one that needs you. And listen, there's all kinds of books out there for you to be able to buy and know how to speak when you go into the interview. Don't go in there and say, hi, my name is G.W. Cliver, and I think I'd be a good fit for this job. Go in there when they say, tell me about yourself. You say, well, I already know how to do what you're looking for in this job. Let me fix it. Let me go to work. Put me to work. I know how to take it and change it to this for you. Go in there and do your work. That means you're going to have to educate yourself on things. You're going to have to make sure that you're ready. Always seek to be godly thinking people. People who think properly. Godly thinking can change your life. Your life is uniquely different because you think the way that God wants you to think. Your perspectives are right. You're looking for the right thing. Look, there are wrong ideas about God. Some think that there are two gods in the Bible. The God of the Old Testament, who was a God of judgment and anger, and the God of the New Testament, only compassion and love. The truth is, God is always God. He's goodness and severity. He never changes. If you don't do what He says, you're going to wind up with severity. If you'll go to Him and ask Him and wait for it, He'll bring it to you. And there are scriptures there for you. So change your ideas about God. He is for you, not against you. And then He says, knock. Meaning, don't give up asking for God. Keep knocking. Look at this sign I found. Isn't that cute? Please knock and wait. Well, what does that mean? Well, you don't know. That person may be have to take some time to get there. But here's the thing. Are we knocking and asking God and demanding an answer right now? Wait for it. The answer you get will work for you. Ask God. Ask again And no matter how big or small your ask is, ask again, no matter how easy or hard it is. It may seem impossible for you, but it's not impossible for Him. Ask again, no matter how much you're hurting. So He's saying, ask me, ask me, ask me. And you don't ever ask. And you say, I got this. And God said, no, you don't. And there are things out of our reach that we can't help. People trying to throw away the Constitution and put in Sharia law. Well, what do we do about it? Well, we have to leave that up to God. You know, worry, the definition of worry, is assuming responsibility God never intended you to have. The things that you can change, change them. The other things, don't worry about them, give them to God. Ask Him to change them. Do you hear me? So He's telling you, pay attention, do this. What do you expect from God? When you ask Him to help you, what do you expect out of it? What's the results that you're expecting from Him? Do you really trust Him? Are you really expecting Him to take you through the problem or get rid of the problem? What is it you're expecting? You remember Abraham going to kill his son, expecting that God would be able to raise him up again from back to life? Wow. That's faith, folks. That's doing what's right. Consider it pure joy that you have problems. That's who we are. We're people with problems. And we're going to have even more because we are not serving Satan. Those people who are, they got problems? Yeah, they got problems. But Satan does compensate them more. Don't trust that. Do what God says. If you're not right with God, you need to have some prayers about this, or you need to be baptized. Now is the time. Don't wait. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. There may be someone here among us who will not be back next week. Simple as that. Whatever your needs, you can come forward as we stand and we sing this song together.